My name is Carolina and I will be talking about shoji. As I experienced them in Kyoto, it was for me a turning point during my architectural studies, and the first time I experienced architecture that was open to nature and let in light, let in air, was moving, was dynamic, and was not so static as I had experienced it in Europe and in America. In all human habitation, light is essential. Shoji has the ability to transform light as well as space and can therefore enrich dwellings and with this satisfy human being. Living with shoji as an integral part of architecture can affirm our natural link with the special rhythms of light and shadow. They are not only decorative but also functional, having the ability to frame and control one's view, to change the flow and living pattern throughout the spaces, and with this, change the lifestyle of everyday living. Shoji is a generic term for sliding, hanging, or stationary partitioning that can divide the interior of a building into separate rooms. They aim to reduce the scene to the dynamic half revealed, like an intangible shadow caught midway in its flight. Shoji can be used in pass-through spaces, as outer skin of a structure, fusuma, screens, inside. Frame views, and they can even be built into ceilings to induce and diffuse light. All human civilization and agriculture depend on light, which in Japan is associated with the sun goddess, supreme in the Shinto pantheon. Amaterasu Omikami is a Shinto sun goddess whose name stands for glorious goddess who shines in the heaven. Her most important shrine is located in Ise, Japan, in the island of Honshu. The temple is torn down and rebuilt every 20 years. In the temple, she is represented as a mirror. The Japanese home reflects in part the traditional Japanese love of nature, with its wide verandas and broad overhanging eaves reaching out to the world and making the natural landscape almost a part of the interior furnishings. I will skip forward due to the time limitation. How far forward? Man and nature. A thought-provoking experience can result if, when looking out of the window, we see not an object, in other words the landscape, but nature as part of a greater space in which we exist and also participate. Landscape is no mere outdoors in a dialectic interplay of inner and outer. It is also no converse to architecture, though the perception of the observer, landscape becomes part of interior space. According to Lao Tzu on Eastern doctrine, nature is heaven and man in one. Man acts according to the earth, earth according to heaven, and heaven according to meaning, Tao. And meaning acts according to nature. This continuum, in my opinion, is also reflected in the traditional Japanese building style, where inner and outer, man and nature, therefore connect. The Christian view sees nature as matter, created by God for the use of man. The allocation of man and nature and ultimate meaning, an integration of the polarity of interior and exterior that exceeds spatial boundaries, freely conceived space, suggesting permeability, flexibility, and lightness by means of the grid construction of the walls imposed upon the void. And the idea that there is an invisible that takes effect within and behind the visible to define the value, the meaning of the visible, are the maxims of Eastern wisdom, as explained by Lao Tzu, reflected in Far Eastern architecture. Ruskin believed that architecture with beauty cannot exist without nature. He writes about this in the fourth lamp of architecture. He states, "Beauty, that all most lovely forms and thoughts are directly taken from natural objects. Nature enables this beauty to become universal and instinctive. Natural architecture, in which nature becomes a determining planning factor, does not see the house as a perfect geometrical body, but as a complementary or integrated component of the natural environment. Borders, such as walls, evoke the feeling of being within. They turn us inward while allowing us to sense an outside, beyond the enclosed space. As a result, borders challenge us to cross them by appealing to our curiosity and thirst for knowledge. This reaching out for the beyond leads us to the dialectic relationship between inner and outer. Like a crack in our consciousness, this tension allows us to be in both the inner and the outer. Lao Tzu, the great Chinese sage, said, "The origin of both inner and outer is one. They are different only in name. The secret lies in their unity." Inner is outer, is inner, coined by Werner Blasner on Romano Guardis work Der Gegensatz, Versuche zu einer Philosophie des lebendigen Konkreten, Opposites, Attempts to a Philosophy of Living Concreteness, describes this relationship. In overcoming this tension, an often difficult task for architects, Shoji can help ease the transition between inner and outer, by moderating a dynamic interplay between the two. The old Chinese idea poses and answers the question to the concept of the continuity and integration of space. Where does the garden end, and where does the house begin? Where the garden begins and the house ends. Thank you.